to the Columbia Open Space Committee regular meeting for Thursday, August 15th at 9 a.m. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of July 18th.
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any seconds?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, all in favor?
Oh, what did Mr.
Okay. Do we have any? Yes.
Oh, no, it's
No,
Okay, let's skip that. Okay, Justin is not here to tell us about planning and zoning. Paul Sager, do you know where Justin is and if he's coming?
like that.
you're on mute.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're still
You're
muted.
still muted.
Lower left.
Pushing
There
too
you
many
go.
buttons. I believe he's in Maine.
Okay,
Yeah, so
very good. Then,
Yep.
and you don't know anything about planning and zoning?
no,
Other than
he's definitely the expert there.
Okay,
the housing patterns, housing modifications, so for denser housing.
Yep.
Auxiliary housing,
okay, the accessory.
accessory dwellings.
Okay, I think we heard about that.
Yes.
too. Okay. Accessory housing did pass. So how does that affect open space? Well, the accessory housing is by special permit. And it does not require an open space set aside. So that's how it affects us.
The density is still determined by soil and
Yes.
septic.
So good. Okay,
Where did this pass? Through planning zone.
planning and zoning.
Is that the end of it then? Yes, because then it had public hearing and a waiting period, now it's a revised ordinance. It is a modifications to our ordinance.
Right. And they will, planning and zoning will continue on through the regulations. Cleaning them up, revising them, making them consistent in language and other things. I'm not sure how much they will change in content. I think that more or less they're gonna clean up all these things so that they, it's like when you tack onto a house without an architect. Sometimes you get funny looking house. And that's sort of like what the regulations, planning and zoning regs have done, that something comes up, they create an ordinance, but they don't make sure, they haven't made sure that it all fits together in language and redundancy. So they're cleaning all that up. And Justin Rendu has done a great job on that subcommittee. He's worked very, very hard. But I'm still gonna keep my eye on him to make sure that we still have some open space in town. Anyway, okay, Route 66 property. That's
Mayor,
Mary.
so, Commissioner Shop, we have panel drawings, Mylars. We have all the specifications of all 3 pieces of property and the property we're purchasing. And now all that's left is a signed agreement between Mary and the town. And then I'll bring it to Board of Selectmen instead of the town meeting. So,
Okay, what month do you anticipate?
I think September. I don't think all that will happen in time for next Tuesday. But my goal would be to have that happen on the first Tuesday of September with a town meeting third Tuesday of September. Right now, that's my target,
Okay,
everything pulls together.
okay. Very good.
And we made application to DOT for the new entrance into our new property. With 700 feet of sight line to the north, and 500 feet to the south. Maybe it's east-west. I'm not sure.
So what's the date for the town meeting?
I'm gonna, if I get everything signed and ready for calling the town meeting on the first Tuesday of September, it would be the
Okay.
third Tuesday of September town meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Chris, are you on Zoom or are you at the meeting?
No, I'm zooming.
Chris. Yeah, well, I can hear you distinctly. Mark, the sound system is still terrible.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
got
getting
it
a lot of
connected
broken
to the
up.
speaker.
It's garbled.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done this in a long, long time, and it is really awful.
Okay.
I don't know how you do this, Paul. All the time.
That's why you should stay home and
is it-
attend.
I did
it-
bring that up to Mark, a couple meetings back. And, he's looking into new equipment.
So.
Yeah, I bet
I believe, I might be putting words in Mark's
Yes,
mouth.
we need, Jen and I found out we can get either a second owl or a second microphone. I've also been looking at the fire station, they dropped the mics from the ceiling. So, you had better audio.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
getting background chatter, other noises coming in sort of as on the side. It seems like.
no, well, that may
Not-
be me. That might be my granddaughters.
No, I would. I think I'd recognize that, but anyway, good. I hope that gets worked on.
How about if everybody that's on, go on mute when you're not talking, see if that helps them.
Mhm.
So, okay, Paul's mute.
Mhm.
Paul's mute. Okay, Chris, can you mute?
Yeah, I hear you, but it's kind of broken up. It's a little bit. It's like this little garbled sound coming out in the background. It's sort of intermittent.
Try muting your mic, Chris. Hit mute.
Is that any better? We-
Okay, now, is it any better? You guys?
They can't respond.
They can smile. All right, yeah, you can hear that.
It actually is a little better.
That is a little bit better.
We also close the door, which keeps the sound in. That helps. Okay. Okay, so, just to sum up, the Route 66 property, the Pekarsky shop property, is about to go to town meeting. we're going to give up the access to the west of the residence to gather a little more property to the east of the residence,
Right,
okay? And, but in the back, it will still connect to the Ellis property. Make sense?
which is Rec Park. What connects to Rec Park,
Not the Ellis.
Dallas does,
Well, yeah,
kind of,
it connects to the swamp.
to the swamp.
Yeah, I've got the whole geography in my,
Everybody needs a good swamp.
okay, oh, yes, we do. That's water, again, for the
That's right.
my dear. Okay. Okay, I need a favor. Do we have a bench yet?
For who?
I need a favor, yeah.
I think you should head that up and make it a reality.
I don't want a bench.
And then we'll put Tom as our bench builder, crackerjack, bench and land clearer to assist us.
And then no one will maintain, and I don't think anybody
We'll sit
is
up,
gonna sit on it.
you will, and read a book.
I think the readers should come back and say, okay, it goes right here.
Well, and I think,
and here's-
I think that's the case where we do need to get, Chris out there.
And I think he's forgotten or lost interest.
Well, I think everyone's super busy right now.
You think?
I do.
I do.
Think stuff like that, you just need someone to drive.
All right, I only leave it on the agenda so we don't forget.
Okay, good. We could, bring it through over to the Boy Scouts as we.
That'd be perfect, people.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Or a scout community service.
and it could include some more land clearing, so you can see the pond.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
I think that's a good
we
way.
need a troop of boys, cutting and hauling wood,
Each other.
yeah,
There you go.
because that would not be
I
a
like
project, Public Works would jump up and down and go, ooh. That's wonderful,
Yeah,
can't wait to help.
except. And it's going on. Other property anyway, it's not even on the rain property,
Well, borders,
yeah,
it overlooks,
which is. Okay, I can,
but again, Chris should be consulted, maybe he'd rather behind the senior center overlooking there. That's the other spot, he could do it, but he's kind of like to get up to help to that.
it is. And you can go down where you can actually see. They'll be rolling.
I think Chris should be involved. Okay,
Okay, Pine Street parking,
we have a map and we'll be reaching out to the neighboring butters to review.
Yep.
So that's,
and who went out there? Tom McGrath and Ron Whitcomb
And Robbins.
and Rob Hellstrom went out there, mapped it all out. Rob made the map, we're good to go. We've got a plan and we will take it to the neighbors and see if they all agree. Or at least will accept it.
Do you have a date?
Progress.
Is there a date for that? Is
no, sir,
Mark?
no,
Not yet.
I just got it.
Okay. I'm sure you will have a date forthwith, though.
Forthwith. Wait, weeks is forthwith.
It's after the town meeting in September.
What, you have nothing to do.
You're waiting until the next budget season, so
That's kind of fast.
What's the problem?
Kids are coming back from school in a minute.
Okay. Tom, tell us about the Hop River Trail Alliance and the 12 Town Airline Alliance.
So there was a number of meetings that Ann and I attended, or I attended. Ever since we got involved with the East Coast Greenway event at Model Pond, we've gotten a lot more traction with both groups. They see us as Columbia's valued partners. Hop River, I'm actually going out on a ride tonight with John Holden, that's the chair of the Hop River Trail Alliance, to look at different road crossings as to how to improve it based on the national standards and things versus what's there, and improve signage. The airline trail, we met a week or two ago, and the idea is to have one 12-town group, but split it north and south. So it'd be roughly 25 miles in each, so that it would be easier for the north and south group to meet separately on a monthly basis possibly, and then quarterly together. And I offered to be some sort of a board member for the south section. So that there's another meeting coming up with that, I believe, next week.
Is that south of Hop River or south there?
So what the idea is that Willimantic, it will be the hub for the Hop River Trail, the airline trail north, and the airline trail south. When they just started redoing all the signage and which is, there's a grant that they got to redo all the signage on the Hop River Trail, and they used Willimantic as mile zero. And they're considering that might be the same thing for the airline trail, will be mile zero and then head south, and then mile zero heading north. So as things changed, and you wouldn't have to keep redoing things, and it would again focus Willimantic as the hub.
So Willimantic's the hub of the airline trail.
And the intersection of the Hop River Trail and the Willimantic, the airline trail of Willimantic is in Willimantic. In the general area of Mackey's along the river.
What about the canoe, kayak, overgrown area, anybody?
So they reviewed it about a year ago before I got involved. And at that point, they didn't plan to do anything with it. Right now, I'm advocating that they include it in the plan for when they redo that area.
That is the intersection.
So anyway, yes. I have not made any progress on it.
Where is that, what are you talking about?
So right where Mackey's is, when you cross the river into Columbia, there's an overgrown parking area. It used to be a rest area a long time ago when it was. And then it was cleaned up and used as the end of the Willimantic River Trail, the canoe trail. And then there was a problem at some point prior to my involvement where there was like a homeless encampment there. So the solution was to let it get overgrown.
And put boulders.
Yeah, boulders to block it. So I'm hoping that in the next year, we'll be able to get that cleaned up and make it as an option for the canoe trail as well as the Hop River Trail and the airline trail for parking. Because the Mackey's, whatever that was, 5 or 6 parking spaces is not reasonable. And then there is some parking over by the railroad museum, but that's not intended for the canoe in and out, like, so there's still some more discussion.
What is the river like at the parking area, overgrown parking area in Columbia?
So that area, it's between Route 6, what is it there, Route 66 at that point, or, anyway, so between 65th and the old railroad bridge.
Yep.
Is the bank on the Columbia side.
Yep.
And that's where it originally was for the takeout. And because it's so much overgrown and it is kind of a steep, there would be work that needed to be done to improve that. And because the bridge is above grade for the Hop River Trail, there would need to be some sort of ramps or something put in to make it, a reasonable access, even though people had always used it without any ramps, without the bridge.
Okay,
But the quick thing is to get permission through the Hop River Trail Alliance to do a cleanup of that lot, just so it doesn't look awful. Because that's the first thing you see when you come into Columbia. On the right-hand side is this overgrown place with boulders and broken glass.
and bittersweet. Okay, but the bank to the river is steep there,
From the parking lot down, there
if
is,
you're gonna put a canoe.
yeah, but all that could be resolved, once they clean it up. Because it had been used for that purpose originally.
Okay. Good, and who is the owner of this overgrown property?
So
DOT?
So my understanding was, that it had, there's a lot of parcels in that area are owned by the DOT. I was told recently that it has now been transferred to the DEP as the owner of the property, although it doesn't show that on the property cards in Columbia.
So it went from DOT to D.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
And that was a very recent transfer, and I don't know whether it's just internal.
and it did happen. It's not proposed.
That was the information I got from Kim Bradley.
Gotcha.
He's the one I'm working with. And then also was, a number of people from Last Green Valley were the ones that first worked on that whole Willimantic River Trail.
Yes. Okay. So that's hopeful, now that it belongs to Deep, that they will include it in the trail plan when they finally get around to revising, to upgrading the bridge and everything else, and finishing the Hop River Trail. Okay, good. Any questions out there? Is Chris still with us?
His picture is not.
No.
Somehow he dropped off a couple minutes ago.
He needs to admit.
Because he's taking minutes.
Where do you see it? I put the top,
Okay,
it says admit.
moving right around. Hop River Mills Preserve.
There. And there.
I understand,
First drop off and then trying to reconnect, I think. You know,
I understand from Tony Hill that the bridge building people at the Hop River Mills decided after all that she could have some of those stones. So
I've asked Public Works to go get the two she set aside. Hopefully that will happen.
hopefully our DPW will be able to pick up those stones for her. And
What's their significance? First, you're supposed to make benches. It's from the old wall. The old
It's-
bridge.
they're historic. And she had an awful time. She practically lives on that site. And she talks to people down there as they're working. And she said something like, what are you gonna do with the stones from this wall? And I said, oh, we'll bury them somewhere. She said, oh, well, when you go to bury them, could you drop them off here? And I said, sure, for $7,000. And so that was,
That was originally
when
we were looking at.
and so nobody was gonna pay $7,000 for a couple of stones. You know how things go. And so she went, oh, well, and then all of a sudden they said, you want these stones? So she just went crazy, ecstatic. And
She stopped in yesterday.
yeah,
Just,
so DPW is coming through.
what's the timing like, bridge? It's coming fast. It's basically just put the upper deck on. So if you go out there, you'll be shocked. Well, I've been out there. So. I don't know. I know we're trying to get them forward. Yeah. It was the approach that. Something totally different expression. But it's just still dirt, it's still. Getting there.
Okay. Salmon River Partnership.
Nothing, we did not have a meeting since we talked. They did that, kayak canoe trip up the Salmon River. I couldn't make it, so I know nothing more about that, but that's what they're doing. That's a pretty cool, I've done it, or meet some other direction, but I couldn't make it. I used to kayak in it. So what Ann's reading right now, they're contemplating trying to make Salmon River a part of the wild and scenic designation, just like 8 Mile River. So that's being considered right now, along with some other rivers.
Will that include the watershed?
I would imagine, because the whole purpose of the Salmon River watershed, wild and scenic, is to keep all the water coming into the river from clean water.
Well, isn't that nice? We may get a piece of that.
And this is the application when they applied for the York River. So they sent us an example of what they're gonna be working on. I don't know if they want us to give support. Yeah, I don't know the pros and cons.
Yeah.
I know the Townsville had to support it when we applied on the 8 Mile River. And there was a focus to gather up open space in that watershed.
Yep. This did not come to you or me, Ron.
So I'll forward it. I just got it.
to-
This was talked about.
It
at our
went
meeting,
to
but-
the town.
Yes.
Yeah. But you're not copied on that. I went to the town.
Just keep what I just gave you.
I can,
Thank you.
And that,
oh, that'd be great. And I will make sure that I ask more questions about what it means.
yeah, what do they need from the town?
Yeah.
What kind of support?
What's
What are the pros and cons?
what's the need of us? You know, what do we?
It sounds so nice, it sounds perfect, right? Wild and scenic. But there's always,
I know there'll be concerns about what's that do to the building. Yeah, the possible building on land. Wow.
Right. Which might have implications for our project. If it limits development. Let's see. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Friends of Model Pond.
so, and is that part of the kickoff meeting? Or,
Yeah,
okay,
tell us about that.
so, about 2 weeks ago, August 1st, we had a kickoff meeting with IMBA, PPL, representatives from D. Mark Walter, Ann Donick, and I attended. It was about an hour long, talking about just kind of getting to know each other and what their plan was. So between now and September 16th, they were gonna be putting together an off-site draft master plan. And then they plan to be in Connecticut on-site the 16th, 17th, and 18th. And from what I understand, their plan is to have all the deep representatives with them the 16th and 17th, and then potentially on the 18th during the day, have representatives from Friends of Mount Pond. I think we lost the skin. It's coming back. So on the 18th was during the day to have representatives of Friends of Mount Pond and to be involved with them as stakeholders. A part of that is they wanted to do something September 18th in the afternoon, evening as public engagement. And so our first choice was to have it here at Yeoman's Hall, but Yeoman's Hall was not available. The conference room was available. So I reached out to Hearthstone Winery to see if they might host the event for us, and they said yes. And at this point, the plan is to have this public engagement at Hearthstone Winery from 4:30 to 7 on the 18th. And this is all just kind of transpired in the past couple of days. And this weekend, I'm gonna be, the Lions Club Chicken Barbecue at Rec Park is Sunday from noon to 3. And I had gotten permission from them to table for Friends of Mono Pond, open space, conservation, whatever. So I did get a flyer on that I can hand out saying that we're actually gonna do this at the winery. From the agenda make them. I pass them to. What else do we have? Gates, quite a while ago, we had asked for gates to be put up on Wellswood Road, Zola Road, Hebron, Columbia, a couple places to kind of slow down the ATVs and trucks that are going in there. So a few weeks ago, Columbia DPW did install a gate at the Hebron Columbia town line on, which is Wellswood, and on some maps it says Zola. So that gate is in place. I was away on vacation last week, otherwise they would have installed the 2 gates we requested near Island Woods entrance on Wellswood. I'm going back and forth with Beth with her schedule and the guy's schedule as to when we can get those other 2 gates installed. So hopefully within the next week or so, that'll be done. Good.
Do we need some signage maybe too? Come up with what she said. Order.
At this point, the gates themselves don't have a sign.
Right.
But the property that butts the town road says private property on the Zola side. We can decide what we want. You know. Just no unauthorized motor vehicles is probably a reasonable.
Right.
You know, something like that.
Yeah.
Add on? Yes. Yep, chain gate, with both key and combination access. So you'll have it. I have it.
I don't.
Plus I have my bolt cutters and my wrenches. They can't keep you out. No.
No.
The other thing with Friends of Mono Pond is we have our new shirts. Because everybody was asking about short sleeve shirts, lighter weight rather than, you know, as a choice. So I'll have those available. At the chicken barbecue. The other thing in preparation for the stakeholders meetings and stuff that we had with IMBA, I was looking at the signage on Route 66, directing people to the boat launch. And I think everybody realizes that the intersection of Hunt Road, West Street, and 66 is like one of the most dangerous intersections in Columbia, and the DOT has tried to fix that multiple times by painting turn lines, everything. Well, right now, it used to be in both directions, but right now, westbound going toward Hebron, there's a sign directing people to the Mono Pond boat launch there. From that point, it's 1.7 miles to the boat launch, on a windy, twisty, hilly Hunt Road. If you move the sign down to Pine Street, which has a flashing light, Pine Street is a flat, straight road, and the distance is 1.2 miles. So you shorten the drive by a half a mile, and it's a much safer road. So I was gonna ask Mark, I'll put a note together, just to review it with DPW, DOT, whether this seems reasonable.
Right.
And
The sight lines in both directions from both sides are much better at Pine Street.
the other thing too, which a part of this plan, because we're working to have the airline trail and Model Pond State Parks management plans merge, to work together, maybe share parking lots and so forth. So the other thought I had was that we might even want to put some direction, not only to the boat launch, but to the airline trail, directing people down to Chesbrough Bridge, which is pretty much a straight line and it's only 2.4 miles. And that's a much safer area for parking cars than Route 87 is, over near the 10-mile river, even though they put all kinds of flashing lights and everything over there for the cross. So that's, I'll put something together.
Use the same post. Boat launch, airplane.
One of the things we haven't, which I think we need to discuss with, as we're putting the master plan together, is all the town roads that are out within the area there of where Model Pond State Park is. Whether the state recognizes those as town roads, whether the state's gonna want to have them improved for emergency access, for service access, for trail, who would pay for improving them, all that kind of stuff. But I think that'll get worked out over the next few weeks as they start to develop the master plan.
Good. Good work.
So, no, just having nothing to do with Model Pond, up at Rec Park, there's a yellow trail that goes from the back end of Rec Park by the concession stand that goes on Town Land and then over to Joshua Trust. And that's also, the trail is shared with the disc golf course. And there was a desire to have a bog bridge built in the wet area in there. And we started that process in May. And I've been working on it, it's got about half of it built, so about 90 feet of the 200 feet bog bridge. It's been really helpful with all the rain to know where the wet spots are, but it's been very slow working in that area because of all the wet spots. But hopefully I'll have it done before September. It's a scout project. It was gonna be a Boy Scout project, and then it kind of got derailed. Because of the cost and because of the availability of the labor and all that kind of stuff. Well, I just took it on as a something to do project.
As if he doesn't have enough to do. But so we and put this in the minutes, Chris, be on Tom. A great debt of gratitude. For all the work he has done in town. To make open space accessible and to the entire town. And he continues, and not just Tom, but the Friends of Model Pond.
I had one last thing, which I just saw in the notes. The most recent Columbia Views, the summer issue. We had a nice full page article in there with some pictures that Todd Shepard put together for us for Friends of Model Pond. Talking about all the different things we've done this year so far and
Yep.
So
If you haven't read it yet, it's on the last page. Saving the best for last. So if you haven't joined Friends of Model Pond yet, please do. And because the Open Space Committee worked very hard to in our recommendations to the board to acquire the property, but it's Friends of Montauk Pond that are doing most of the work to develop it and make it open to all the towns. Okay. Okay, new business. Into my inbox came this request for a town representative. They were looking for a town administrator or a town planner or somebody like that, I think, to be the airline plan, in the airline trail plan representative.
To what organization?
The 12-town airline.
Don't we have?
We're so, but they didn't seem to mention Tom because he doesn't work for the town, or he's not the town.
So
planner.
did they just tell the next date that they're having aren't they having a brainstorming session coming up?
Yes.
When is
Yeah.
that? I think I wrote it down.
Well, I got this link to get it, where you fill out one of those, polls, like unavailable to your parent. I haven't looked today, but soon it's that date,
With the-
and I think it's next week. Or the week
Yeah, I
after.
think it was, weren't the dates like 8:30 and 4:30? 8:30
Yeah.
and 4:30? Yeah, so I filled out the first 2 days, 8:30,
Okay,
so we'll see. So I was available Monday, Tuesday at 8:30.
and.
I'm sorry, Ann, who did that request come from?
So that's CTRC and D.
What's that?
Oh,
I'll have to look it up again because I always
so
say
you're
it.
gonna have to leave for the meeting. It starts at 10.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. Okay,
Connecticut Resource Conservation and Development Area.
and
Connecticut.
that's,
Resource Conservation and Development. So they're the ones that got the grant a number of years ago to put together the master plan as it was and help to produce all the individual town maps and that things. So now they have received another trails grant to take the next steps.
Okay, so they want the Board of Select to appoint a representative to work on the airline trail project that they're doing.
Pretty much both the Hop River Trail Alliance and the Airline Trail Alliance. They want representatives that actually could implement something as a part of the town, whether DPW or,
Okay, I got it. Okay,
so it's like, so,
yeah,
so Beth Lunt is an official representative with the airline, with the Hop River Trail. And I am more of a representative of the users of the Hop River Trail. So it's kind of, so it's one of those things, trying to have both. You know, the individuals that use the thing and the individuals that would maintain or be a part of maintenance or officially represent the town.
okay. So, Tom, are you gonna, is the Board of Selectmen gonna make you the representative? Or what's
I
it?
think, I'm assuming there would be multiple. And it might be that Beth Lunt would be appointed as the
Mhm.
official town person dealing with the maintenance and stuff.
it's hard to say,
Yeah,
and it might also be Mark Walter.
Oh,
the
okay,
biggest,
Because he was, before he worked for the town of Columbia, he was involved in the Airline Trail Alliance, so but that is nebulous at this point, is the reason I put it on the agenda. Somebody needs to put their hand up and say, I'm in. Although Tom and I will be reporting back. But between Tom and me, we have no power.
The other thing too is the airline trail. Very little of it is actually in Columbia, like less than a mile. Just a spot here and a spot there. And historically, Lebanon has always maintained the airline trail, even though the pieces were in Columbia, because they were already out there. I don't know if there's any written agreement we need to do with them, that they'll continue that way or not. The other thing is that one of the reasons I really wanted to stay active with it is to make sure that the management plan for the airline trail and Model Pond State Park in that 2-mile section between 207 and Leonard Bridge is really thought through. And I've, like Ann, I've gone to different towns and I've been out to Colchester, to the Colchester Land Trust, talking it up, saying, hey, from Harry's place, it's only 6 miles from Model Pond State Park. You're gonna be riding your bicycles down here and going hiking, and so it's a regional region. The airline trail and Model Pond will be a regional resource.
Okay,
Okay. And Tom already went over the other thing in new business about INVA's site visit and the stakeholders meeting. And the only thing I'll say about the stakeholders meeting is we definitely need to chalk that up, because we need input from the people who are going to use Model Pond State Park. You know, the neighbors, not the woods, the area mountain bike people, equestrian people, people come to take a hike there. All of those people need to come, and the INVA people will have maps and posters and a presentation. And so we need to get the troops out there to come to this event, which will be on September 18th.
As a part of that, what I've been advocating for with Honor and Kim Bradley is that they see Friends of Model Pond as the umbrella organization that all these different uses would come under. So if there's interest from the New England Mountain Biking Association, that they would come in as maybe the mountain biking subcommittee of Friends of Model Pond, or the equestrians, that they would come in as the equestrian subcommittee. So that we, Friends of Model Pond, would represent all these different diverse users of the park.
Mark, do you have a newsletter coming out the first of the month?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can put that in.
but yeah, how about putting it right up at the top instead of down at the bottom?
Okay. All right,
But okay,
it'll lead.
Okay. That's all the business I have. Anybody else?
No, I just reported, I went on August 8th to Eastern Connecticut State University for a full conference on grants, and met with Connecticut Resource Conservation Development and Jocelyn Leahy. She's the Executive Director of the Environmental Programs Manager. So got a lot of information on USDA and the things that you and I have done in the past, and
Yep.
but different They're really trying to help, farmers. And even, they said, even someone who's farming strictly to feed your family might qualify. There's income requirements and things like that, but, small business. So there's a focus to support that whole industry, farming, small business and rural. Now,
Jocelyn is the one that's heading up the airline trail.
okay.
Yes, she's the executive director.
Yeah.
She's only been the executive director for a year or so, year and a half, something like that.
Yeah, she was young.
Yes, and, I think she'll be very good. Okay, so it's really important, this meeting that we're going to, it's extremely important because he's finding out about grants that are available. Because we have, if you remember to the last meeting, when Brian Avery from Joshua's Trust was here, we talked so much about partnerships and grants. And we have to stop thinking of the Columbia budget as our only source of income. Because it's not a good one. So we need to research, keep our ear to the ground, and recommend grants for projects that we do. Anyway. Okay, anything else?
I wanted to just back up for a minute to updates. Has Mark or Ann or anyone else heard anything from Callie or Honor lately?
No,
No.
And they knew about, and they get this mailing, they know that we have a meeting, right?
yes, they do. And actually, what I heard from Callie was what we told you about him. She focuses on the trail grant and implementation of that. That's her.
Right.
And Honor has no news. So there we are.
Okay.
And we have clearly hit a plateau in acquisition.
Mhm.
Until something changes.
Okay.
Any other input? Okay, I move we adjourn.
9:55.
Woo, turn out.
Who seconded it? I put it on.
Right.
Bruce, you got that?
Okay, thank you for coming.
All right.
Have a great rest of the
Bye-bye
summer.
and
Take
Work
care.
on the
Enjoy your
sound.
vacation, Paul.